Okay.
Hi, I'm Kiana Miner. Welcome to the Crazy Courage webinar where we are busting success myths and learning how to live more courageously. I am so excited because today we have Andrew Zenoff with us. And Andrew is a socially conscious entrepreneur, a self-made millionaire, and creator of the product My Breast Friend. So I'm just so excited to have you here today, Andrew.
Thank you
Welcome.
so much. It's great to be here and really, really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So I heard about your product, My Breast Friend, when I received one as a complimentary gift when I did a market research study. I participated in a market research study group, and I remember opening the packaging and reading through some of the marketing, and I read your story about how you were a struggling actor turned entrepreneur, and at the time, I was a budding entrepreneur myself, so I was just so inspired by your story. I was wondering if you could start us off by kind of talking about that journey and some of the courageous steps you took along the way to get to where you are.
Okay, sure, absolutely. So I would say that um, when I um, was about 29 and decided that I was going to leave the world of acting behind and do something new, um, I had no idea what I was going to do. So I was just sort of looking into the abyss of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And it had always been my childhood dream to invent something to help people. That was always in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that I would just kind of open myself up to see what the universe had in store for me. So the way that I did that was I set a criteria for what is it that I want to do and what are the qualities and the values in which are important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I narrowed it down to a couple key things. First, I said, okay, I know I want to invent something that is going to be good for people. So whatever it is, it's got to be good for people. Number two, it's got to be something that I can create myself. I didn't have any real, technological know-how.
Okay.
I had studied business in school, so I had that background. But I was certainly the farthest thing from like an engineer. So I knew I wasn't going to do anything in like technology. And I spent a lot of time praying, and I invited prayer into my life. And I wasn't particularly religious, but just the way that my life had become so difficult, and I was in so much sort of internal struggle around what to do with myself. I was, really, I didn't have, $10 to my name, and I was living on a friend's couch, and I was just down and out, and I couldn't figure out what to do with myself, and I couldn't see the way forward. So through getting clear that, okay, I want to do something that I can be the master of my own fate, I want to do something that would be good and to help people, and that's all I knew.
Okay.
And then I opened myself up to, the universe and to see what happens in life. So sure enough, about a week later, when I say a week later, a week after I was clear that I was now leaving LA and the acting thing.
Okay.
And that had been about a 4-month transition. So it wasn't just 7 days later. This happened over many, many months.
Okay.
I was at a friend's house, and her older sister was breastfeeding her baby and started talking about breastfeeding and the challenges that she was having, a lot of her girlfriends were having, and the discomforts associated with it. And now I had never been around a baby. I never held a baby. I didn't really even know what a baby was. So it was totally new for me. But I was, just curious, just listening to her talk about this other product that she had that all of her friends had, but it wasn't very good for breastfeeding. And I got convinced that, wow, there's a universal need here. This product she had is not very good. And she explained that all of her girlfriends were using this one product that was not good.
Okay.
And I got clear that if I could come up with something that was really a much better product, there was a universal need. And I left her house. I drove to a store that had baby products, and I looked on the shelves, and sure enough, I saw the product she had, and one other product that didn't look very good. And somewhere in my heart and my mind, I'm like, okay, there's a universal need for breastfeeding support. I'm going to invent the world's best breastfeeding support.
Okay.
So I guess the first bit of courage, it happened in a couple steps. The first was deciding that I was going to leave something that, I'd been studying acting for 5 years. I've been involved with theater in New York and was now in LA. So my first step in courage was the willingness to leave that which I know.
Okay.
That was step one. Number two was try and get clear on a very high level. What is it that I want? What is it that I want to move towards? And I knew I don't want to be at the beck and call of casting agents and directors and people anymore. I want to do something that can really, where I can control my destiny as much as I'm putting into it, that I have more say in my destiny.
Okay.
And then I want to do something to help people. So the next step of courage was I decided that I'm going to invent this product. I had no idea how. I had no money to do it. But I decided that I was going to. So I guess the next step of courage for me was just making a commitment to myself that this is what I'm going to do. Come hell or high water, life or death, I'm going to do this thing if my life depends on it, because it kind of does.
Right.
I mean, I was at the end of the rope. I had nothing else to fall back on, and I'm going to go do this thing. So it was really having my conviction and commitment to this without knowing how to do it. Sometimes it's hard to commit to something when you don't really know how to do it.
It is. You have to trust. Yeah.
You have to trust. And that was the final piece, which was I was using a lot of prayer because I had nowhere else to turn except the faith and my relationship to something greater than my individual self. So I left Los Angeles. I remember I packed up my Jeep with all my belongings, which was a suitcase.
Okay.
And came back up to San Francisco where my family was. And I remember coming home and walking into my mom's house. My sister was there. And I'm like, okay, I got it. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm going to invent the world's best breastfeeding support. Right. Of course, they had no idea what I was talking about, and so I'm like, no, I had this vision. I started getting a vision for this, so I started drawing it on a piece of paper.
Okay.
And I had just kind of this vision of this product that would go around your body, but I hadn't really worked it out yet. It was real high level. But I looked at what was on the marketplace. I asked my friend what she didn't like about it. Okay. And from that, I started dreaming up, okay, I'm going to invent something that solves for X, Y, and Z. So I came home, and I guess the next bit of courage was proclaiming to my family and friends that I'm going to invent the world's best breastfeeding support.
Right.
Having never held a baby, having never started a business, having no money in my bank account, and no clear way to do this. So I think the next bit of courage was actually starting to take steps into the unknown without any real resources.
Okay.
A friend of mine, so I started, whenever I would see a woman with a baby on the street, I would go up to her and say, excuse me, I know this might seem a little strange, but I'm a budding entrepreneur, and I have a vision to invent something to help make breastfeeding more comfortable for moms. Can I ask you 3 minutes of questions? And then, of course, they were a little bit like, who's this guy? And why is he talking to me about breastfeeding? But, some of them stopped, and I said, if you were going to if you're breastfeeding your baby, what are the different areas of your body that you want support, or what are the things that you feel you're not getting support now from the products you use? So I started making a list of listening to what these women were saying. And I think that's another big takeaway as I look back on this was the willingness to really listen, to really listen to what the universe was trying to show me and what people were trying to share with me. So I think it's one of the greatest attributes that I've learned is to be a really good listener and hear what's trying to be said. So I started getting a list of here are the characteristics of the things that will be put into this product. And then I wasn't sure how I was going to finance it because I didn't have any money. And I was trying to figure out how to live, how to, where to lay my head down. My family said I could stay there for a few weeks while I got myself together. Figured out my plan. Well, this is how life happens. A friend of mine was getting married, and he and his fiance really wanted me at the wedding. Well, they were in New York, and I was in San Francisco, and I had no way to afford going to New York to their wedding. And they said, look, we really want you here, and we will pay for your ticket to come here. We want you to be part of our ceremony. So I was touched and honored and decided to go. And a number of my friends from college were going to be at the wedding. Well, Friday night was a bachelor party because it was all happening sort of a shotgun wedding. The fiance was pregnant. They wanted to get married quickly. And so there was a bachelor party on Friday night and a wedding on Saturday night. And so a bunch of my old friends, buddies from college, were at the bachelor party. And between the bachelor party and the wedding, I grabbed 4 friends of mine from college and I got them in my hotel room. And I sat them down and said, guys, now none of them had babies or they were married. I'm like, guys, and I held up this product that my friend's sister was using, and I'm like, this is a breastfeeding pillow. Women use this to support themselves when they're breastfeeding, but it's not very good, and these are the reasons why, and I explained. And I said, I am going to invent a better one of these, and I have a vision how to make this product better in all these 10 ways. And if I can do that, I believe that I can then raise some money to build a business to launch this to customers. So what I need from me, there maybe was 6 guys, but I was like, what I need from you guys is a loan. If each of you could put up anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000, and I could get $12,000 together, that'll buy me enough time to, 1, pay my rent, 2, mostly work on building a prototype for this vision that I had for this product. Well, I don't know if it was my ability to sell, convince, or a couple of the beers that they might have had, but they all said, I'm in, sounds great. So sure enough, it took a little while to collect, but those guys did give me the seed money to begin to work on my venture and develop this prototype. So it's a long story, but over the next year, I worked on this concept that I had and built myself about 60 different prototypes of this product. Pieces of foam, cutting them. I had moms that I knew now who would try them, give me feedback. I spent a lot of time actually sitting with the products myself with my eyes closed, trying to intuitively feel into if I was nursing a baby, where in my body feels like it needs support. So it was a combination of market research and my own intuition. And about a year later, I came up with the final product design, and I heard about this big trade show where people go who are, store buyers to buy baby products. So I didn't have a finished product. I had just a bunch of prototypes in a hotel room. I flew down to Dallas, Texas, and I set up these 6 prototypes in my hotel room, which was about a mile from the convention center. And I called a bunch of buyers before I went there and said, these were reps who rep companies and sell baby products to stores. And I said, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm developing this product that's going to help revolutionize the support for women breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be at the show, and I'd love to show you it. And if I do, I'm hoping that you'll consider working for my company. So sure enough, I went down there and I met with each person. Now, they're at a trade show. I had the challenge of getting them to get in a bus with me from the trade show, go back to my hotel room, look at these products in my hotel room, and convince them that I'm going to build this company and that they want to sell my product. So that was another big step of courage, the willingness to put myself out there and help motivate and move people to take action towards this idea that I was believing in and working towards. Sure enough, I signed up most of them that I met with that day, and then I had to work on the packaging, and then I had to go to some stores and say, hey, I got this great new product, and will you try it? And that was a lot of selling.
Okay.
The interesting thing, one of the interesting things is that, the past 2 years when I was an actor in LA, I went on a lot of movie auditions and TV auditions. I went on, I think, like 130 or 140 auditions for film and TV shows.
Okay.
Well, I got rejected 129 out of 130 times. So, what I didn't know in that moment was that would actually be one of the great building blocks of my business career, was that I had been rejected so many times in my acting career, had such a thick skin that
that's awesome.
I had no qualms about putting myself out there and
Right.
getting rejected. So I had no fear, no problems, of super thick skin. And to me, every rejection was one step closer to a yes.
Okay.
So it was great to see that I didn't know how my past was going to end up being the building blocks of my future, but my acting career ended up being a very important part of my business success and my ability to sell and take rejection and get up to bat over and over again.
That's amazing.
So it's wonderful, when you look back. Hindsight is fascinating.
Right.
You look back, right? You see how all the dots are connected.
Right.
When you're going through it, you don't necessarily know how this is going to relate to what you're doing later. But
right.
Everything is a building block. Everything is an opportunity for learning. Everything is an opportunity for growth. And the biggest, the biggest and most painful falls have always been the strongest brickwork for foundation. So I had a lot of challenges before and during this journey, and in hindsight, they all became really important building blocks that gave me a lot of courage to proceed forward against all the odds. I mean, I have thousands of stories of like this business not going to happen,
right?
And I just kept forging ahead. I mean, I can't tell you the number of nights that I cried myself to sleep, just could not see how I'm going to get through this obstacle that was in front of me. Be it, trying to get into a store, somebody trying to sue me for something.
Okay.
Trying to manufacture the product, trying to then manufacture it overseas, getting dropped by a big account, convincing the buyers to let you in. I didn't have any money, so I had to raise money for the business the whole time, but I didn't have any success to bank on. So it was a lot of energy. I probably met with, and I'm not kidding, I probably met with close to 1,000 people.
Wow.
And pitched them to raise money for my company as I was going along with 1,000 people. I mean, each one of those was like a 2-hour meeting, an hour presentation, an hour of questions. And it took me that many meetings to finally get some investors in and help me put enough capital together where I could, ramp up manufacturing and begin to grow. And I had to do it several times throughout the years. So it was not an easy journey. It was a long journey. It was a lot of challenges. And it required a lot of courage to overcome and keep getting up each day to meet these obstacles when most of them I could not see the answer. I never knew the answer, and it was just the willingness to try again and try something different and take an action. Like, just do something. Take an action and do something different. Didn't work yesterday, do something new today. Try something. Make a phone call. Talk to somebody on the street. look at something online, walk into a store. Just the more action I took, the more chance I had for results. So,
wow.
Sure enough, a year later, I launched the product, and when I launched the product, I I didn't have it in stores yet, but I had worked out a deal to have it on a training video for Lamaze classes.
Wow, that's very amazing. Very innovative. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I contacted them and said I had this thing to support breastfeeding.
Okay.
And, revolutionize breastfeeding. And they were like, "What are you talking about?" And I met with them and convinced them to let me put this little promotional advertisement in their video.
Wow.
With an 800 number. They'd never done this before, so I was helping them do new things as I was creating it and inventing the ideas myself. So when I started, I hadn't even figured out my manufacturing, but I had this video. It was going to be released in 2 months, and I had 2 months to figure out how to get these things manufactured before people were going to call the telephone and order the product. Guess who they were going to call? Me. So when I started in my little studio where I was living, I had a computer now and a headset and this 800 number, but I couldn't even take credit cards because I didn't have any credit. So these moms would see on this video the breastfeeding product, call 1-800 da da da. They call me and I pick up, "Hi, my best friend." And they, "Oh yeah, I like here I am sitting. They're like, "I'd like to order one of your pillows." I'm like, "Okay, sure. Where do you live?" And I take down their address. And then I get ready to. She's like, "Okay, I have a Visa." I'm like, "Listen, I'm sorry, I can't take a credit card, but I'll tell you what. I'll send you the product, and how about you send me a check using the honor system?"
Wow.
And they were like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have any other way to do this. I'll send you the product. Give me your address. You get the product. If you like it, send me the check. How about that?" And they said, "Okay." So the first few months of my business, I couldn't take credit cards. I was sending products on the honor system. Of course, and then having to call these people, months later, "Hey, by the way, you still owe me $50, "Oh, yeah, I forgot to send you check," So that's how the business started, was me sending out pillows. I'd run down to the post office, put one in the mail, and, one by one, sell these products without even being able to take credit cards, and then try to collect the checks. And most of them were pretty honest, so I got most of the checks.
That's amazing. And I love that you didn't wait until everything was perfect. Like, you were just like, "Okay, I'm just going to take the phone calls and just figure it out." Yeah.
Each step of the way, I just kept doing the next thing ahead of time. And even when I started, I didn't even have manufacturing down. It was actually costing me more money to make the product than I was selling it for. So I was losing money. Not only was I selling the product on the honor system, but they cost me more to sell. They cost me more to make than I was getting. So I had to figure that out. But I just was forging ahead, and I kept moving forward on things, even if it wasn't the perfect thing, even if I didn't know how to do it. I just kept moving forward, and I think there was something to be said for the courage to not have it be perfect, not have it be all figured out. And again, a lot of just steps, acts of faith, and just blind leaping and just going for it because why not?
Right. That's awesome. So about how long from the time you sort of got the vision to when you felt like, okay, I'm successful, it's starting to turn around now, things are starting to work out?
Let's see. I got the vision. It took me about a year and a quarter to launch the product for, as I said in that video. And then I probably got it to my first stores about a year and a half from when I got the vision.
Oh, okay.
And then by about 2 or 3 years, I got into some bigger chain stores. Business started going. Now about 3 years in, things were starting to cook. And then there was a company that thought that I was doing really well. They decided to hit me with a bogus lawsuit.
Oh my goodness.
So all of a sudden, 3 years in, I've got my whole life riding on this. A company sued me for patent infringement, which was completely made up. They were trying to slow me down. I got sued. It took all my cash in the lawsuit.
Wow.
we ended up having to settle, but all my money went to the lawyers and paying them off so we didn't go to court because my lawyer said, hey, if you go to court for any reason, if the jury doesn't like you, even though you're 100% right, you might have to shut your business down. So here I am 3 years later. I went from feeling like I was on my way to being totally destroyed by this lawsuit, and hence back to the bottom again and having to start over and figure out how to get some money and how to get on my feet again because the company was bankrupt and I had to file. I was going to have to file. And anyway, long story short, I didn't. I made it through. Took a few more years, and but it took a good 5 years of perseverance to feel like I'm starting to get to where I was hoping to go. But I don't even know that I feel successful yet, so I can't say that I've arrived anywhere. But I don't have that feeling that I'm successful, but I do have a feeling that I've learned a lot along the way, and my life is definitely different than it was now than it was then. But the journey kind of continues. But it took a solid 5 years. Minimum. It took a lot of years. It was a hard road. And I happened to get hit with a lot of obstacles. So whatever the universe's plan was for me, the universe said, this guy needs a lot of challenge and a lot of difficulty to help
in order to learn these lessons. But what did you say?
I said I had so many obstacles that were just relentless over many, 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 many years. So hopefully that doesn't have to be everybody's journey. That was designed for me. And hopefully everybody had it a little bit easier than I did on their journey. But if I can do it, everybody can do it.
Yeah. I love how Purge, though, was a process for you. It wasn't like, okay, this one time I need to be courageous. It was something that you just started to kind of embed into your spirit in order to keep going. And
yeah, that's a great point. It was a daily practice. No matter what great mountain I climbed yesterday, today was as if I hadn't climbed it, and I had to be ready for the next one. But at least the one that I climbed yesterday gave me a little more confidence that I could do it again.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned prayer as something that kind of helped you cultivate that courage. Are there any other practices that you engage in, or even now that's evolved to help you bring what you need to the world?
Absolutely. I do a few different things. One is I still do a lot of prayer, and I focus on the things that I'm grateful for. Because a lot of times I'd be focusing on what I want, like please give me this, please help me with this.
Like we all do, yeah.
I try to start with a little gratitude of the things that I already am grateful for, just to try to show that I'm not just asking. The other thing I try to do is I try to do some meditation. I try to meditate, and I've meditated for a lot of years now. That's a great practice because it helps quiet my mind and allows space to happen. I find that to create something and get courage, the more space that I have, often the more calm I have inside, which allows me to be more effective with my courage. Just simple meditation, 10 minutes, close my eyes, breathing, following my breath, trying to just let go of my thoughts and following them. So that's something that I do. And I try to do some kind of physical activity outside of, sitting in my chair at the office all day or walking around. It's good to move the body, to get energy moving through the body. So even if it's taking a long walk, going outside, trying to be near nature.
That's nice.
Every week, try to go be by a tree, or if you're on the coast, by the lake or ocean. I find these things help open up, create space for magic to happen.
Those are awesome. Now, when you started with your company, you were a bachelor, but now you're married and you have 2 little ones. Does your wife use your pillow?
She does. She uses it. I got to use it too. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. It's great to be a dad and be a parent. Just use these things that I invented, and it's just wonderful. Here I helped all these moms breastfeed and connect with their babies. I didn't really know what I was doing until now that I'm a parent and actually get to live it with my wife. And wow, that's pretty neat. That's cool. That's great. All right. So it's very special to actually experience it live and have that connection with my babies and feel the importance of that.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So, what are you working on now? What's in your future?
It's a great question. Um, besides family, which has been my priority lately,
Mhm.
on the business front, I'm actually dreaming up a new venture in something that I know nothing about. So it's really
Of course,
awesome.
yeah.
I'm doing the same thing again,
Right.
and I'm dreaming up a whole new concept, and I'm going to do something in wearable technology.
Oh, wow.
And much like doing the breast fan, I know nothing about technology. I can't even build a box if I tried. So I thought, what better thing to do than try to pursue something that I know nothing about. So
Mhm.
I'm on that journey, the same journey that I did, 20 years ago almost, where a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, trying to get clear on what it is. And once again, I'm going to invent something to help people that'll be supportive for people and communities, and
Okay.
something to do with in technology that's wearable. So I'm in the process of dreaming that up as we speak, actually.
Okay, awesome. That
Yeah,
sounds
that's
really
exciting.
good. And I love how underlining all of your products is this consciousness or this spirituality that you want to serve the world. I think that's probably why your products are so amazing. Like I have your breastfeeding pillow. I actually have two little ones that I've used it on, and I absolutely love it. It's amazing.
How old are yours?
I have a 9-month-old and a 2.5-year-old.
Oh, so you're just in it too. Oh,
Oh
that's great.
yeah, they keep me busy too.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's the best.
Thank you. So if people want to see what you're doing, is there a website where they can find more information?
There's no website on my new venture. It's right now
Okay.
I'm just kind of in the incubation stage.
Okay.
But at some point, hopefully, I'll have some. But probably about 6 more months before I'm
Okay,
all public.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, we look forward to seeing that.
Absolutely. I hope we'll stay in touch. It'd be great.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And thank you. You shared so much information. I know the participants are going to get a lot out of it. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, if I can be of support, I always like to be of support.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to give me a buzz whenever I can be helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.